we?
Yes,
Meeting, I think we should. That's Saracen. It's almost an hour, don't I? 6. Maybe next one 6.
this was last week.
I'll send you these.
Doesn't say he's prepared it. I mean, should add a bit of a.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's just gone 6 o'clock, so we'll start our meeting. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to everyone for attending, almost a full house this evening. This is our Joint Waste Committee quarterly meeting, as we're all aware, and I think it's a very important service that we right here, because this is a very visible service that members of the public see every day and comment on. So I think that the work of the committee and the group and the staff and everyone involved is quite vital in the work of the council. So thank you everyone for doing what you do to make it successful. We have a few changes to the group, and if it's okay with everyone, for the benefit of identification, if people could just very briefly go around and introduce themselves, if that's okay. We'll start on this side of the room, if that's all right. Do you just want to say?
I'm Fiona Bell and I'm Governance Officer.
Fiona.
I'm Will Stevenson and I'm the Principal Governance Officer here at LDC.
Ian Doug Cullen, Leader of Lichfield District Council.
Lizzie Barton, I'm one of the directors at Lichfield District Council.
Woodhouse, I'm one of the managers at the Joint Waste Service.
Darren Phillips, Operations Manager for the Waste and Transport.
Evening, I'm Simon Fletcher, I'm Chief Exec here at Lichfield.
Evening, I'm Rishi Spolia, Exec Director at.
If you'd finish then. I'm Jo Goodfellow, I'm the Executive Director of Finance and Commercial at Tamworth.
Stephen Gabriel, Chief Executive Tamworth.
Carol Dean, Leader at Tamworth Borough Council.
Hannah Pleat, Assistant Director at Tamworth.
Lewis Smith, I'm a member at Tamworth, filling in for Foster.
Thank you. And to complete the circle, I'm Phil Whitehouse, Cabinet Member for Operational Services, Parks and Waste here at Lichfield. So thank you very much. And because of those changes, we'd also like to record that Annie Goodwin, I understand, will no longer be part of this group, and just an acknowledgement of the hard work and effort that she's put into the group over the past several years. So please pass on our congratulations and thank you to Annie for that, if that's okay. Thank you. So on to the agenda. We are now on item 3, which is minutes of the previous meeting, which hopefully have been circulated. That meeting was dated the 2nd of October 2025, and we would just like to make sure that they are a true reflection of the discussions on that evening. Has everyone had a chance? Are there any questions? Is it okay with everyone to move on from there? Okay. Do we need those proposing and seconding? Can I have a proposer, please?
Propose.
Carol, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Doug. Super. Item number 4. This is the update, which will be given jointly by Lizzie and Vicky, the Joint Waste Committee review, forward look and a general update. I'll pass over to you, please, Lizzie, for that.
Darren's also feeding as well.
I'm sorry, Dash.
That's right.
Well,
And if you
feelings.
if you've got any questions throughout, just ask as we go through. And we'll try and make it as whistle stop as possible. So we're going to cover a variety of projects that we've been working on over the last few months since the last committee meeting. That's the list up there. I won't read it. We'll straight into route optimisation, which this week has been very much a big focus of our week. So from next Monday, we are changing some rounds for some of our residents. The numbers are up there, and we did report this to the previous Joint Waste Committee. So more residents in Tamworth than Lichfield, and all of those residents will receive a letter which has been hand delivered earlier this week, as well as today and tomorrow, and a thank you to the crews that are out there doing that. It will allow us to remove one round every fortnight. And the reason that we have to do this is because as our districts grow, we get pinch points on our rounds. Wednesday was a particular pinch point for us where housing growth had ended up with that round being too big. We worked with Biffa to deliver the route optimisation. We had a bit of an issue before Christmas insofar as we couldn't progress before Christmas. So we've had to bring it past Christmas to do the changes now. But hopefully they will go smoothly from next week. Vicky has been working incredibly hard this week to update all the online systems. So the Bartek system is updated, ready for Monday. We've had crews printing out maps to make sure the teams are familiarised with where they're going next week. And hopefully, fingers crossed, next week it will all run smoothly and residents will be able to follow the letters that they receive. We spent a lot of time looking at the letters to make sure that they were clear, and we're just grateful to residents for changing their day, for supporting us doing this, and for working with us to make it as efficient as possible. Part of the reason we did it was to make sure that the food waste could fit in as well effectively into our service. It is also in advance of rolling out the government's food waste scheme. So that's where we're up to, and fingers crossed it will all go smoothly and Darren and Vicky will feel calm and collected. Yeah, free. Darren, did you want to go through the food waste fleet and the depot rearrangement?
Yeah, that's gone well as planned. Depot's ready. We're just waiting for the vehicles to come in. When we originally ordered the vehicles, there were certain options available to us. One of them was the wrapping. We didn't put that in the option when we procured the vehicle, so we're doing that ourselves, saving considerable amounts of money actually. So when the vehicles are getting delivered, they're going straight into the wrapping company. They're going to get wrapped, and then come back into the depot ready to go.
And we are about to announce the food waste truck monster competition winners, which we'll also cover in the communications plan. But that will be done shortly, and hopefully we'll have photo shoot with members and some of the competition winners. In terms of food waste staffing, we've got some really fantastic news. So 4 of the loaders that we had on our rounds who applied to be drivers, they have all passed their test. And I wanted to, and I did put out there, a massive thank you to Ian Hitchcock, who's our one of our officers who looks after safety and compliance, but also does all of our toolbox talks with our teams, make sure they're following what they need to. He spent a huge amount of time with those trainee drivers, giving them massive support, so really bringing them on. So a massive thank you to him. We're on track to bring in all of our loaders that we need, and we are looking for more drivers. We do use agency to bring drivers on board because it gives them an opportunity to work out if they like driving. As Darren explains, driving a food waste truck is incredibly different from driving an HGV up and down the motorway. There's manoeuvring, there's tight corners, there's people, there's bins, there's loaders, there's a huge amount of things to take into consideration as you move around. So it's a different job. So using the agency allows us to test out those drivers, for them to test us out, see if they like it. Same with loaders. And then provided we keep them for 12 weeks, when we bring them on board, we don't actually pay any finder's fee. So it costs us nothing to do that, but it's a brilliant launch pad to then bring those crews on. So we don't have any real worries about staffing. There will be some agency that fill those posts as we go live, but we're confident that we will have enough staff to deliver the rounds.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through caddies?
Caddies, as you know, we went in joint procurement with Staffordshire and to procure those. They've all now been delivered and are at our storage site. We've also had half the liners, which is enough to put the packs together, and we'll be keeping back the second half when they arrive at due any week to replenish when residents ask for them. The caddy delivery plan's been approved by our health and safety. We've got a vehicle plan in place. They're going to be delivered using curtain-sided vehicles, so we've not got people stood in the road. It's going to be curbside. Packs are going to be made up as they go along. We've got 80,000 households to deliver to, so it is going to be about a 6-week rollout period. And we're putting together all the information for that so that residents will be able to look on our website and see, instead of bringing up and going, when's my caddy going to be delivered? That'll all be available. We finalised the leaflet to go with it, or we're finalising the leaflet to go with it, and that's touched on in the communications plan. And we'll also be putting together a new calendar to go on the website for residents to download. So, as I said, the deliveries will start on the 16th of February. We're going to delay the rollout to the communals until after we've started the service, and then we're going to do that on a block by block basis with individual communications and assessments to make sure that we're giving them exactly what they need. And then that should be in place by the summer, I would hope.
And one of the extra things we are doing, which is a real bonus, is Darren has said we can and do have enough capacity to stick a sticker on top, which will tell people not to put their caddy out before the service starts. So to start filling up from the last week of March, because what we don't want to do is have thousands of people getting excited, not reading the leaflet and starting to use it straight away. So hopefully people will read that. And if they don't read that, there's not much more that we can do. So food waste promotions, I think we'll leave that really, but just to say they are on track, they're going well, and we've got the food waste communications plan on the agenda later. So there's nothing that I think we really need to cover over right now. So we'll go over that when we do that item. Vicky, do you want to do the Womble?
Yes, those of us who know the Wombles are very excited to say that the Wombles are coming, or a Womble is coming next week. We're going to a school in Lichfield and a school in Tamworth to launch our food waste promotion and presentation that we've done in conjunction with the Wombles, and it's going then can be rolled out nationally by them. But yes, we're very excited to say that Orinoco will be
Definitely Orinoco.
definitely Orinoco. We wanted him because he likes his food.
And also Vicky had a photograph with him when she was 5.
Yeah, I want to
Oh,
Have we already identified which schools it will
Yeah.
be?
Yes. They people could put expressions of interest in, and then it's been selected. Yeah.
So vapes and batteries, not quite so exciting. So you probably are all aware that we had a fire in one of our trucks just before Christmas, which we believe was caused by a lithium battery. This is a growing national issue. We know that we need to do something about it, and one of the things we wanted to ask the Joint Waste Committee's view on was putting some of our funding that we have towards a campaign to drive awareness of what to do with batteries. One of the things we think will be most effective is stickers on all the bins, basically saying do not put batteries in here, this is what you can do with them. We're keen to speak to Biffa, who are obviously process our recycler, and also to Riverside, who are our vehicle supplier, because it places a risk on the vehicles that they own. We haven't yet costed it up in full, and it would be the next thing we work on after the food wastage rollout, but we'd love to do a really high profile campaign around this to really drive understanding and awareness of not placing batteries and vapes, particularly because the lithium batteries sit within the vapes look plastic, so why not chuck them in your recycling bin? Or I can't recycle it, I'll just chuck it in my black bin, but people forget it's got a battery in it, which is a real challenge. So it doesn't look like a battery. So we know we need to drive this forward. It's something that we think needs to be done at a national level, but whilst that's not happening, we'd like to take a lead on it. So it was really just the committee's view on that and whether they're as a
Well, certainly from my perspective, I'd be very happy to do that. I'd also like to explore our suppliers, our partners, business partners, to see whether or not they're willing to contribute in some way. It's a good opportunity for them. And also, when I was talking about this with some of the public, I think they get it that they don't have to put the vapes and the batteries in the normal waste bin, but where do I take it? So I think we need to make sure that they know what the alternative is and try and make that as easy as possible. Those would be my views.
Just a comment in relation to especially on the enforcement side and how could we work with trading standards, because there's something for the the people who sell these vapes, there's an obligation on them. So there is something to do with how we engage with trading standards, I think, to get those messages out to those retailers as well.
I think it's a really good point that we should work with our environmental health teams around this to see how we can make sure that we work collectively.
Yeah, we're having thought on that, and also I was in a county meeting last week. Unfortunately, we're not alone in having vehicle fires. Some of our county partners have also experienced this, and they acknowledge, like Lizzie said, that our preference would be there be a national campaign because it's a national issue, but what we can do locally is really important, and part of that is absolutely, like you say, Stephen, to work with environmental health colleagues and trading standards to remind them of their responsibilities for options for disposal as well.
Remind them how dangerous the products they've got are or can be.
Yeah.
How much budget are we talking?
So we've guesstimated that they're about 20k. If we were to put stickers on every bin. If we wanted to put stickers on every single bin, probably more than that. But we'll go away and cost it up and see what support we can get from our partners. It's in Biffa's interest, it's in Riverside's interest.
One of the questions: so who actually bears the cost when it goes wrong? Who's most affected by that? And should they not be contributing or even not leading on it?
I have done some engagement with the press, being on
Yes.
the BBC breakfast and things, and they are having, and I think they said last week when we spoke to them, they've got another crew coming in. I think it might be Midlands News or something like that. So that they are pushing it locally and at a national level.
My whilst I know that stickers on bins can be effective, I'm just conscious that when we try and communicate lots by stickers on bins, eventually we're just going to end up with bins covered in stickers that no one's going to look at. And I do question whether or not that is the most effective way of communicating the message. So I think in terms of budget, absolutely. I'm not convinced that another sticker is necessarily. We're going to get to the point where people get sticker fatigue or whatever the term is, and they just look at this range of stickers and just ignore every single one of them because there's so many different stickers on their bins. But I'm giving you a problem, not a solution there, I know, but yeah.
The alternative to that is we know what people do with leaflets, don't we? They
Absolutely.
barely look at them on the way to the recycling bin.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's the best. I mean, I suppose the most valuable asset we've got is any footage of the actual fire in the
I think the crews were too busy putting it out.
It's the first thing they should be doing.
There were social media posts that did go out hard.
I know, yeah.
And we have done social media campaigns around the messaging as well. I think we're conscious that not everybody's on social media, so we need those other outlets as well that gives that mixed media approach to our communications with our residents.
To your point, Stephen, as well, I think going to source of sale and actually if we can get the message over there at sort of point of sale, that's helpful. I mean,
I think it's a good challenge for our communications team though.
Yeah.
they definitely dealt with Lizzie. Yes, but I agree.
As we talk about stickers, but weren't we also looking at a tag that is not a sticker, if you know what I mean? So putting something on the side of the bin, I agree with Doug, but a tag on the handle is more visible and that seems to have more impact, I think. Is that what we're talking about, a sticker or a
Suggestion. We don't have an awful lot of stickers on the top of our bins at the moment. I think we had one about a
Couple of years ago. I think the
years
thing
ago.
we use the tags more as a
Christmas.
kind of just a temporary message, whereas a sticker on the top of the bin.
Yeah.
Every time you go to the bin, that was the thought process behind it.
Okay, thanks.
Christmas and snow. Are you too traumatized?
No, we can. Christmas went well. Christmas went really well. We had no complaints about Christmas. The tags were very well received, and people got the messages. I think what really hit us was the snow, and that's completely beyond our control. We did try and do rain dances to make sure it rained and didn't snow, but it didn't work. So collections were significantly impacted. We worked really hard to catch up. I think what thing I would like to say is we haven't had any complaints about how we handled the snow, but we have had compliments, and that's been really nice to see. People are very often quick to complain, but we've had quite a few people make formal compliments to us to say thank you for the work you do in catching up. One thing that we do want to note though is that in order to catch up, there was a cost involved. We can't do it with the current staff. We had to have extra in to help us, so that will have an impact on Q4.
And I think as well, ordinarily, now's the time that we actually start to make savings on that spend with agency, because we don't need them for garden's suspended, but we've had to actually ramp up more than we would have done in a busy summer period. So we've asked the finance teams to calculate that so we can report that back in next quarter's report.
Well, also just to note the bottom point as well, that teams were really accommodating and were prepared to move rest days and take holiday where they could. So the costs were minimised as much as possible.
I think we should also mention we had no accidents or injuries, which was the main reason for cancelling.
And some of our other colleagues in Staffordshire did end up with more than one staff member in A&E from slips, trips and falls.
And a massive thank you to the crews as well, because it was freezing going out doing that. It really was cold and they did brilliantly. So a huge thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, you've got.
I was going to say, a massive thanks to the crews as well. And also those that tried to get out and then had to come back. So that would have been difficult. I think more in the point in relation to our response and having to draw in additional resource. I think we know we're going to get snow every year. So there's just something around how do we plan that into the budget. So I don't know if you're asking for an additional budget, but I suppose we know that there's going to be some periods, or we should be planning for that at least, where we know we're going to have to put additional resource in because of the catch up, because we know at least one point in the year there's going to be snow that's going to cause us some disruption.
I think this year was worse than last year, so it was bigger. So our base budget, when we've looked at it, we looked at last year's budget. So hopefully it was sized, but this year we ended up with more impact, with 2 days effectively cancelled as a result of snow. I guess we'll never really know exactly how much snow is going to fall and how many days.
But the challenge for me is, what if we have double the amount of snow next year? So it's double the cost. So it's just something, and I'm not, we're not meteorologists, I'm not suggesting, but just thinking about from a business planning perspective, what your contingencies will look
I think if we assess in our next budget meeting what the impact's been, and then we can have that conversation around what might be prudent to add to the contingency line in the budget, and then bring it to relevant portfolio holders for discussion.
We've just got to be careful, don't we? I totally take you. We know there's going to be some adverse weather at some point during the year. If we overcook the budget by too much, obviously that's then taking funds from somewhere else, and that stop us from doing something else because we've been overly cautious. I think it's appreciate over a 3 or 4 year period we can probably get it about right, but whereas in year it's probably going to be up 1 year.
I think we need to balance it and do some analysis.
So in terms of performance, Vicky, do you want to run through?
So we're reporting Q2 data on at this committee because there's a delay in gathering all the necessary data. The way that it works with the data is we get some that we're in control of, but some of the data comes from elsewhere. So when we put together this pack, the final Q2 wasn't ready. But what we will do is report Q2 at April's committee and give a forecast of the full year. It depends what date the meeting is and when the papers have to be ready for that to be done. Long-term sickness did create a pressure early in the year, but that is now improving. We have had some people retire on the grounds of ill health, but we're measuring it, monitoring it, and we're doing even more work than ever with our HR teams who are doing a really good support for us. And we have a fortnightly meeting and we look at each case and see how it can be assisted and brought forward. Recycling performance is still below target. Again, I know I said this last time, but last year was really bad for garden waste. If the garden waste is bad, your overall recycling is going to be bad because that does bump it up. So that's where we are. We are hopeful that this time next year, when we've had food waste in, that will have a good impact on it. And the extra marketing that we're doing as well with the Recycling for Good and the Wombles will all focus people and make an improvement. Accidents have been higher this year. I've introduced a new fleet, but that has improved this last quarter. All incidents are investigated, actions taken, and we do utilise Ian as our training and safety and compliance officer, who looks into everything that happens. Missed collections have gone down overall. Assists aren't still where I'd like them to be, but we are addressing that with toolbox talks and more stuff on the Bartek to remind the crews.
want to pick out on these?
Just on that, and thanks for that, Vicky. Do we have we must have the data in terms of recycling without the organic?
Yes, we have the dry recycling, that is, it's up there.
It's probably up there, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we do split it out. We've got overall dry and organic.
Yeah.
And then next year we'll be including the food waste as well.
It always just seems, and I get it, that's just how you measure it with the brown bin waste in there. It always just seems a bit perverse that we include that in our recycling rates, because it's maybe it's just the way I think about recycling. I don't think sticking grass cuttings is recycling.
And more about what's diverted away from your black bin.
Yes, yeah, totally get that. I suppose it's just it's just useful to see it separated out, isn't it? And to measure ourselves, as you say, if that fluctuates, we can then keep that on a steady keel. Cool, that's fine. Thank you.
I think one of the things that we are hopeful as well with the food waste is that the residual weight per household will come down considerably.
Yeah.
So that's a wait and see, but that's going to be the main highlight from the food waste.
Because 30 to 40% of your residual black bin, it tends to be food waste. So by separating it out, it therefore enables our residents to see how much they're throwing away and potentially change their habits in terms of buying the food that they need rather than excess that might go into it.
You're vegan, most of your bin is full of peelings.
Still waste, and that's what
Still go in the caddy. Yeah.
These are the messages that we need to make people understand. Because some people think, well, I've not got any waste because I don't throw food away. But you are, because your peelings and your tea bags and stuff like that, they're all food waste. And those are the kind of things that we're going to be addressing in the communication campaign.
Any other questions on the performance before we move on? And I did stick up a simpler recycling update just to remind everyone of what's coming next. So obviously food waste collections are in hand, extended producer responsibility. We now know where we stand with that, at least in the short term. The next one is the deposit return scheme and the plastic film packaging, which will be going into blue bags and may well be an interesting conundrum for our processors and our transfer stations, which is really where the remodelling and change needs to take place.
And they are doing a lot of work at the moment and investing in their plant to be in a position to take the plastic film packaging and hopefully the Tetra Paks as well.
So they're all in hand. So we'll keep you posted on those as we go forward.
We have an understanding today of the size of the impact on our income from the deposit return scheme and the plastic film scheme, and do we know what opportunities there are for us to mitigate against that? So I just see that as one of our not sort of big risks, but obviously it's going to rip the rug from out underneath our feet in terms of the funding. But like it fundamentally deconstructs the funding model that we've relied on for so long, and it feels like we're not that far away from 2027.
We're not, but we've still got absolutely no detail on what it will be.
Brilliant.
We're still awaiting.
If you look in Scotland, they were having one, and I think that there's been a legal case against them because they I'm not going to name which company it was, but they had a company to manage it, and then they pulled it, and so the Scottish government, I think, are being sued by said company because they invested millions of pounds in it, and it didn't go ahead. So it's a watch and wait and see.
I think the reassurance we've got there, though, is we work really closely with all of the Staffordshire authorities through the SWOG group, and there's a lot of experience and expertise in there, and we also bring other people in to advise. So as soon as we know something, there's a lot of minds looking at it, so we will hopefully be able to be on top of that as soon as we have what we need.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All done?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 5. This one is an update. This paper in front of you is to note, I guess, under 1.3, the future work that will be done on this, which is the monthly touch-based finance review meetings, documenting quarterly financial officer meetings, and the formal quarterly finance updates to this committee. And the reason for that is that clearly there was a shortfall identified early in the year, and that has now been solved and moved forward. But this paper is to note primarily the actions that are going to be taken as a result of that previous assessment. Everybody happy with that? Okay. Is there any questions at all from that paper? Very straightforward, isn't it? Lizzie, have you got?
I just wanted to say thank you to our colleagues at Tamworth for working so closely with us and the finance team on the work that we did. It was a big piece of work. I think it's been really valuable to understand exactly how the service is finance structured between the two organisations, and I think that's going to place us in a really strong position moving forward. So thank you to all you all for your support.
I'd like to say likewise as well on behalf of Lee and Hannah. You know, it has been really useful. We've really appreciated the time that you've put into it as well, and having gone through things with us in some significant detail. It's been really helpful.
We appreciate it's no small feat going back to base budgeting for the major service that the authorities run. So yeah, I think we're in a good position. We've got that modelling for moving forward as well. So to everyone involved.
Thank you. If there's no more questions on that, we will go to agenda item 6, which is food waste policies, non-participation and missed caddies. Lizzie, can I ask, has this paper been circulated to everyone previously, far and wide? So everyone's had opportunity to look at this. And the purpose of this paper is to agree the food waste policies that we're going to put in place as a result of food waste collections in March. Recommendation is to consider and approve the policies, Appendix 1, and to delegate minor amendments to the food waste policies to the responsible cabinet members at Lichfield District Council and Tamworth Borough Council in collaboration with responsible directors at both councils. So there is the paper. There are the recommendations. Lizzie, have you got anything further to add to that?
So there are a couple of things I just wanted to highlight. One is missed caddies. We did toy with this because authorities that have a food waste service already, some return for missed caddies, some don't. The logic behind that is that it is a weekly collection and it can take us a couple of days to return to a missed bin at the moment or a missed bag at the moment. And by the time we've done that, those residents might only be a couple of days away from their next weekly collection. However, what we've also spent a lot of time researching the best rollout of the scheme, and it's very clear that a scheme that residents can trust and believe in, that doesn't encourage them to go, oh, well, I'm just going to chuck it in the black bin then, which is what we're trying to stop them do, and i.e. then I'm not going to bother using the service, is the best approach for take up. And I think that's what we felt we needed and wanted to begin with. Our ambition is to have smart bins on the back of our lorries. That then weighs and geolocates the waste as it goes in, so we can see where people are participating, where they're not. That will build up a database of information for us, and we can then start to monitor the missed caddies and work out whether or not it's efficient, effective and the most appropriate use of our resources to return to missed caddies. We also can start to monitor how full external caddies are. So if people are only filling them half full, then arguably you could say if it's missed, just keep filling it up until next week and don't put it in your black bin. But it's getting that data and those messages and the knowledge of how it's working in our areas that will give us the best way of being able to communicate it out to residents if we do pull back on this service. So there's really no change to policies. This is the same as our existing policies in that regard. With regards to people that don't want to participate, we did want to highlight this because we are going to be delivering lots of plastic caddies to people that may well go, I don't want to do this. What do I do with this? Come and pick my caddies up. We are proposing that we don't do that. That's very much in line with our garden waste approach. If you don't participate in garden waste, the bin still lives at your property because it's your property bin rather than your bin. What we're suggesting with the caddies is people can use them for storage or use them for things, I don't know, anything they want to in their garage until such time as they leave and they then leave the caddies there. We may get a little bit of kickback on that, so I just wanted to make sure people were aware of that. but we know that's the way most authorities do it, and we feel that that's the most appropriate way forward. So really, it was those 2 points I wanted to highlight. And if there's any feedback on those, we would be really grateful.
The keeping of the container has been tested legally as well with a garden waste complaint many years ago, where a resident took us to the court because they wanted us to take the bin back, and legally we don't have to take it back. So it has been tested as well.
You take it down the logical route, nobody would take their black bin with them when they move, would they? I mean, this is just another bit in the arsenal of products. Yeah.
Probably Hannah's on it. Stephen, as Hannah was first.
Just say, obviously, we've got temporary storage at the moment to accommodate the 80,000 caddies, both large and small. So you know, that is another element, but it stays with the household, so it needs to be with the household bin collection.
So invariably, people move houses and the tenancies will change, and a new tenant will go in, or someone will go in and say, "Oh, I haven't got a food caddy." Oh.
That will happen, won't it?
Yeah, that will happen.
So will we provide one?
Yes.
Okay, no.
They can have an additional free caddy. They can have, much like they do the blue bags and the blue bins at the moment, because obviously it's recycling. We're just
the literage again.
It's 8 litres.
7
litres.
And what's the black bin?
240
Area.
or 180 or 140.
But it's remembering the food waste is going to be collected on a weekly basis as well.
And we are building the online systems at the moment for the ordering so that it's automatic. So there won't be a huge manual process in that.
You want to work out or in the office? Or
You, I don't know if it was you, Darren, who brought them to when it was ISAC.
Yeah, we
saw them ages and ages ago, but it's hard to visualise, isn't it? In literage, that means nothing to me.
And then the final thing I wanted to highlight, because I think it's worth us just repeating the message, the caddy liners that we provide will be plastic. They are not compostable. And the reason for that is when the food is taken to the AD plant, and Bill came along and saw that, as did you, Hannah, those bags are ripped off whether they're compostable or otherwise. Compostable can actually chew up the machinery and clog it up, so it's not great. They're sent to energy to waste. So we do encourage people not to use compostable bags because it's more efficient that they don't.
How clear will we be with messaging on that?
That'd be part of it.
Because I feel as if most people are going to see, well, they're going to want to use compostable bags.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we've got social media campaigns.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. But as part of the process, it actually removes the bags from the process anyway, so it doesn't go into the process that the food bags go into. They get separated out.
Compostable bags more expensive than plastic ones.
But one of the challenges with the compostable bags for us is actually storing them, because they often will stick together as well. That's one of the other challenges. You'd end up delivering another roll, and then people will try and pull them apart and they'll all be stuck together.
With the grade,
the moisture levels are really
More expensive.
I don't know, actually. Did the small group look at that?
I don't think we looked at that, because all along we were told that we would need to use plastic.
But at the end of the day, tell people that bags will get ripped off anyway. No one's going to go and then spend more on compostable bag. They'll just getting that message across, doesn't it? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Cool.
Lizzie, what's our experience of talking to other councils that already operate food waste on this particular subject of the bags?
To be honest, I don't know if we've spoken to Newcastle about it, have we?
Newcastle they have a different provider, so I'm not sure what. I can't remember. I'll be honest, I can't. I can go back find out, but I can't remember.
Just worth checking with them what issues they've overcome.
Staffordshire-wide group, we have discussed this, and everyone, because we're being directed where to dispose of it with by the county council, and the general instruction that we've been given is it's plastic bags, not compostable.
Thank you.
And I'm thinking out loud, but when the plastic bag recycling comes in, I assume they'll then be recycled.
Yes.
Okay.
In 2020.
Any further questions at all on this topic? Can I please then look at the recommendations to see if as a committee we agree 2.1 to consider and approve the food waste policies, Appendix 1, And then 2.2, to delegate minor amendments to the food waste policies to the responsible cabinet members at Lichfield District Council and Tamworth Borough Council in collaboration with the responsible directors at both councils. Is everybody in agreement with that? Stephen?
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to finance. Sorry, six. For the comms plan, again, Lizzie, I think that's over to you to talk us through that one.
She's going to take us through that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have shared that with you, and thanks to our comms teams for feeding into it. It's going to be a really big campaign. Starting next, we've had this conversation today, we're going to start promoting it. I know Lichfield Live did put out yesterday or the day before that it was an agenda item, and it hasn't been hidden. So we did the food waste promotions at the food festival last year, but this is a very comprehensive plan covering leaflets, videos. Going to have a set of road shows that are going to be going ahead on the 18th of February for a week. There'll be leaflets. We are also had our food waste monsters, which are they? I can't remember.
Yeah, they're at the bottom in the appendices.
These are monsters who would all those names were chosen by children who came to the food festival. Once we've got our vehicles and been done, we're going to invite those children to come have their photograph taken with their monster. We've incorporated the monsters into the Caddy leaflet that we're sending out. We've tailored it so it's not all childish. Feedback is that we didn't want to focus too much on them in there, but they will be the main thing, and it's going to be look out for your monsters. Your monsters each have a different message, just to make sure that residents understand why we need to do this. So there's so much in there that I can't talk you through it all, and I hope you have read it and what we put.
We have the member briefings that will be coming forward from the beginning of February, and Lichfield Parish Council briefing as well. And then we're doing all staff briefings as well across the organisations, and the customer service teams will also be briefed as well. In addition, but this is comprehensive, and I think, you know, with the designs for the wrapping for the vehicles, it's something really unique. It's really eye-catching, so therefore it's going to capture the imagination, and hopefully as well, young people will be encouraging their parents, and it will aid that behaviour change in terms of what we're trying to achieve with the service rollout.
I think we all need to be picking it up if we're school governors and talking to our schools about it coming in.
Yes, and obviously we will have the presentations that we'll be able to share with the schools as well.
Yeah, so as part of the Recycle for Good campaign, there's the education pack that the schools can request as well.
Stephen.
I mean, really good, really comprehensive. I suppose I'm just mindful of some of the activities around pre-election period and just making sure that we've just.
Lichfield don't have.
Oh, you haven't got any.
You didn't have a mic.
Yeah, there you go. So okay.
No.
It's a good point there. We'll have to make sure we've got an officer during that period, because I think we can still promote, obviously, but just make sure we've got an officer standing in.
Yeah,
absolutely. One of the things that we've included in the plan is the KPIs, so they're just up there in front of you, and we will be monitoring those closely during the first 6 months of the campaign. We'll then feed those KPIs into our main KPIs when we update the business plan, so that we can look at the impact of food waste on those recycling targets. But we've got things ranging from service contacts through to household participator rates through to public sentiment, which we'll be measuring through social media. So we've got a robust set there. If you've got any comments on those, do let us know. One of the things we'll also be looking at is AI on our telephones to reduce down call contacts by providing automatic responses to common queries to try and reduce down the impact on our customer service team to deal with those more complex queries around this and other matters. So we're working on that at the moment.
We had a call with Jo from your customer. She's the customer digital experience. Yeah, and I believe you're getting a new telephony system as well. So we're sharing on that.
As we get it, if there's other things that we might not have thought of when we were trying to be as comprehensive as possible, then we can then add that in as well to information for residents.
That was my point, Anna. This is very thorough and very comprehensive, and as we go, if there's anything that we need to have a bit of flexibility in that, and clearly we need to build that into our mindset, I think, really.
It's a living, breathing document. It will get changed as things change.
Learn and evolve and move forward.
And people will always think of something we haven't thought of.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so everybody happy with what we've seen so far? Thank you. Moving on to item 8 then, bulky waste charges options appraisal. Izzy, I think it would be, would you introduce this to us, why we're talking about it tonight, please?
So there are regulations around picking up soft furnishings because those soft furnishings contain something called persistent pollutants. And those regulations state that we cannot collect them with other waste. We can't compress them and compact them. And we need to make sure that from the point at which we collect them to the point at which they are appropriately disposed of, that they're handled separately. Up until November, we were collecting bulky waste in the back of our frontline RCVs. So our black bin waste crews would pick them up and put them in the back, and they get compressed and crushed. That obviously isn't compliant. And our transfer station started to enforce the regulations more stringently, as is happening across the country, and we had to react immediately. So what we did at that point is we introduced another collection round, which operates very similarly to our scrap metal collection round, although it has a 2-man crew or 2-person crew, I should say, because lifting a sofa up on your own isn't possible, whereas lifting a fridge on with a lift is. So we appointed on a temporary basis a hire vehicle and 2 members of crew to go out and do this collection for us. The crew for scrap and we also do bin deliveries with those crews as well, so it's not just they are used for multiple purposes. But the cost of that crew, and we've included that in there just to give you an as is and a to be, is approximately £95,000 when you consider the fuel as well on top of that. Obviously that does fluctuate depending on the amount of collections we pick up, but it's the rough cost. At the moment we charge a set of charges which are detailed in the paper, which help to underpin the cost of the services. But what they don't do and what they can't do is fund that extra £95,000 a year cost. So the paper that we've brought forward to you today is really an options appraisal. It's not got an answer in it at the moment. We're really seeking the committee's views on where we need to direct our efforts. And it's really to understand, what do we want to do with regard to that additional cost? Do we want to increase charges so the people that use the service pay, much like our garden waste service? Or do we feel that it's something that we wish to subsidise or part subsidise? And do we want to have the same charges across Lichfield and Tamworth, which is always an option that we look at. So really it's something for discussion. I'm keen for the politicians to provide us with their views on how we take this forward collectively, so that we can come up with a solution and bring that forward to the next Joint Waste Committee in April. So we then set those. We'll have to do it in between, but we'll finalise it at the Joint Waste Committee in April. So we've got the charges for next year.
Thank you. So Liz.
Yeah, my concern with this is if we are gonna raise the costs, at what point do we start seeing a lot more fly tipping happen as a result of these cost increase? And then is there at some point going to be is it going to basically cost us more to go around collecting that fly tipping at some point than it would be to just keep the cost and subsidise the costs at a certain level. I understand that £95,000 extra on top of what we're already paying isn't necessarily sustainable, but we do need to be careful not to
Price ourselves out.
price people out and cause ourselves a problem moving forward.
I think it's a really valid point. I think some of the things, and it is a complex issue, but some of the things to contemplate in that is it's unlikely people that are actually disposing of the waste through the bulky waste service will do that, because the majority of those will be people that can't actually shift it. So they don't have cars, so therefore they can't fly tip. However, it may well then encourage non-licensed carriers to then operate more within the district, and therefore you could end up with that problem. So it does then become an enforcement issue as well. And we've had high profile cases of fly tipping in our district. We work very hard to enforce that as well. So it becomes more of a complex issue. When you look at the actual commercial charges, even raising the prices is not massive in comparison. So your fridge freezers are 50, your American fridge freezers are 60, your sofas are 45, bench is 45, where you look at people like, I've put Dreams, AO and Sofa Warehouse in there. So actually we are very, very low in terms of pricing. And there are other authorities such as Stafford Borough Council that charge for a basket of items at £54 for 3, and they don't have significant fly tipping across the district. I'm not telling you that because I think I've got the answer. I think it is a problem that we have to choose a solution to and then monitor. But I think there's many sides to this coin, if that's the right answer.
I think a couple of things for me. One, I think if we'd have built in an annual increase of a few percent, we never have this conversation, right? Because it catches up. I think my concern is from a comms perspective, the price doubles, everyone suddenly becomes aware the price has doubled, and it's actually that message that goes much further, and then it deters people from doing it. And I'm personally, I think it just isn't tolerable to double it. I just think we'd be better off just wearing the extra budgetary pressure and magically coming up with £50,000 each, which I know that's a challenge, but I just think appreciating we put it up a little bit, it doesn't do anything. So we've increased the price and not really made any impact on a budget, which I don't think is the right thing. Doubling it creates a whole new comm cycle for social media, which deters it. My kind of just going right back to the very beginning though, pops, they can get, my understanding is if they get mixed with other waste, you then have to treat the entire load as if it were all pops. But we can then send them to an energy recovery plant, provided they're recovering it at the right temperature or whatever, and you have it there. Before Ashes or wherever we're going, definitely not licensed to deal with pops through their energy recovery scheme. Because if they are, does this problem not entirely go away?
You can't keep it in the same. You can't crush it in the same vehicle. So,
but if
we've got to collect it separately.
Yes, it has to be collected, and it's.
No, but if it's all treated as pops, I think
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
What Vicky's saying is the other stuff gets crushed, but you can't crush that because what will come off.
We have been crushing it, haven't we?
Yeah, but that's not.
It's illegal.
We're not allowed to.
Okay, so there's two separate. So Hannah, there are two separate issues here. You can't crush it, and you can't mix it. Okay, so it's the crushing that's the right. Okay, so there's two separate issues. One is mixing, and then one is crushing, and you can't crush it in case it floats in the air and we all breathe it in the dark.
Yeah, in case it enters the water system, pollutes the water system, when they clean out the vehicles, yeah.
I just think keep the prices as they are and just swallow it. Which that creates other problems for other people and over.
I think when we were looking at this the other day, there is that issue like with the garden waste where we make a small increase. And as you said, Doug, if we haven't done an increase for ages, why are we not doing that?
Yeah,
we do a yearly increase. We don't just do the fees and charges. It's just
if we is the problem then that we haven't made it a big enough percentage to
it needs to be before because it
just
having to charge extra because it was done with your refuse. Now we're having to pay to have a separate vehicle and extra staff to do it.
It's increased the cost of the.
Yes. Because you would be penalising people if you were saying that their items, we were going to charge at a different amount. The other thing that I thought was you've got this table here with the other authorities. Is this the price before they've had to do the POP stuff?
He's already collected POP separately. Some didn't use it. We had the most efficient and cheapest because we try to run the service as tight as possible. It was the most efficient way of doing it, but some already have a separate collection, so it's different.
So that might be why there's a.
I'm confused here. So at 1.3, it says not compacted in mixed waste loads unless the RCV is being used solely for POPs and going directly to a compliant.
I shouldn't have. Oh, that's my fault. It shouldn't be compacted. Sorry, that's an error, my fault.
Cool.
It does say that you're sitting on these things every day, doesn't it? If they're that toxic.
Guessing it's like asbestos, though, isn't it? Which it's fine once it's locked away. It's the second that you crush it and mix it around a little bit that it gets messy.
The purpose, Lizzie, of this paper tonight is to discuss this and think about this. And I guess it gives an opportunity to take it away from this meeting, ready for the next meeting in April.
So we will take it away, look at it, obviously work with yourself and Councillor Foster, come up with some proposals. My gut feel is if we are, we obviously have the savings exercise that we're doing, but if this is going to place a pressure on either of the council's budgets, we'll have to take it through the cabinets of both councils. So we'll take it away having had the steer from tonight, and we'll work with yourself and Councillor Foster and then bring forward proposals.
Yeah. Can I also suggest that if anyone goes away from here and has further comments or thoughts, they can email in to, reflect on what would. Okay.
We could check through you. Could we just get a steer of where roughly people are, just so we don't end up redoing the cycles? I think we've got the paper in front of us tonight that gives us most of the detail. I think it'd be really useful to get perhaps a strong steer so we know what we've got to go and do. Otherwise, we're going to have to effort on something that none of us are even interested in doing.
Good point.
Yes. So on appendices 8.1, it has got those a range of options in terms of what a potential increase could be. So it's if members have a sort of preference of where you'd like us to focus our attentions. In terms of that, to come back with further information for you.
I think it would probably be really helpful if we leaders and members took it away and had a proper kind of conversation around the different options and then came back up. And so
you prefer to do that rather than make a feeling decision tonight?
Well,
I'm happy
looking at
either way.
I'm comfortable saying that I agreed with those potential costs there because that's so huge.
But there is it goes
in a sliding scale.
So if we're going up annually anyway, can we not just stay on the same trajectory? And then I appreciate that the service needs more budget that needs to be found to be awarded so that you can cover that cost. But I suppose my real strong feeling is that any big step up in fees is just going to deter anybody. It just immediately switches everybody off. And I know there's a probably difficult or impossible to prove link between increasing charges and flight tipping. Totally get that. But still just I think that big leap in fees is going to be a real challenge.
it could be. I mean, I suppose it could be that it is not the big leap, but it's graduated to get us back on track and a programme to do that, I think, because I think that might be an option that
well, it's that thing of, as you said, of other companies or people coming in and filling the gap. Much lower price and it ending up down the lane.
But I think the other thing that it shows, and I mean, I don't know, we probably need to look at this, is our enforcement activity around some of this. And again, back to, you know, the work that we do with our environmental health teams, you know, wardens and all that are going. I think there needs to be a real focus around some of the enforcement piece on some of these.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure we're having enough debate here about the enforcement side of the piece as well, how we support that, because we talk about the risk of increased fly tipping, but there is an enforcement. If people are fly tipping, there is an enforcement tool that should come behind that.
Okay, so to move forward on this then, I think we can't really get a flavour because, to answer your question at the moment, Doug, I think we'll just have to do as we say, which is to think about it, further discussions, feed in any questions or any comments into the team. And then at the next meeting, is that the drop dead time that we have to make a decision?
Then need to implement the charges, really.
We'll have to focus on our mind at that time.
Chair, what information do people think is missing from this paper to make a decision? I'm genuinely confused why we can't make a decision tonight. Like the information's there. We've all had the pack. We've all had time to read it. I genuinely, and if there's stuff that's missing, get it. That's fine. But can we find out what we need to do, or are we just saying we need to have internal political discussions again, which is perfectly legitimate? I get it, but
and I think there's also the implication for things like MTFS as well. And I think, you know, Joel will, you know, we just need to make sure that we can tie it off. I think from our side.
Oh, I'll shut up and sit in my hands, Chair.
Thank you.
Fine.
You don't want it.
Okay, so I think that is where we are at with this particular topic for this evening, to be revisited. Okay, we are now looking at the risk log. Lizzie, please.
So just as a quick reminder as the way this works, it's in red text, and then on the right hand column we put whether a risk has gone up or down, and it's blank if it stayed the same. So I will focus purely on the ones that have gone up. So those are the caddy deliveries. So the caddy deliveries in February, when we wrote this paper, we were still awaiting confirmation of the curtain-side vehicles, which Darren has been like a bloodhound gathering. We now have those sorted.
Got them promised.
Promised. So it's still definitely gone up, but when they arrive, that will go down. I still think it to highlight this is a really significant operation. Delivering 80,000 caddies is no small feat, and building them on the go is no small feat. So it still is a significant risk. Route optimization as well. When we wrote this, that was a big thing and still is. And from next week, we will hopefully see that roll out smoothly. But obviously, that is a risk. And we did highlight on there that the need to put the sticker on the bin not using until the 30th of March is a risk. So that's gone on there. And then one has gone down, which is that we have a new health and safety manager in post who's great. He's heading up to the depot tomorrow to advise on a range of different things to support us in our work, which is an ongoing and ever pressing issue for us. So I'm really glad to have him on board, and I know he's working across Tamworth as well.
Yeah, we've had a couple of meetings with him. I had a good meeting with him yesterday as well. So.
Any
questions?
Any questions on the risk register? Oh, thank you very much. Moving on to the last item, which is the work programme, which is in front of us. And as a reminder, there's opportunities to review this and add things and make suggestions if items want to come off this work programme. But as it stands, what is in front of you is what we're going to discuss on the 16th of April. But as I said, does give an opportunity to change that if anything comes along that you feel ought to be added onto the plan. Any comment on that at all? Brilliant. Good news. And that, I believe, ends this evening's formal meeting of the Joint Waste Committee. Thank you very much. Just gone 7 o'clock, Simon.
Not bad, Chair.